1 in 3 sales fall through. It takes on average around 130 to 150 days for an agreed sale to complete. And over 80% of people in a recent survey said that they suffered some significant stress when buying and selling their home. If you want a solution to that, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the Sunday Property Breakfast podcast, brought to you by Adrian and Candice at Anderson Jones. Every week we'll be discussing a different property market topic, and don't forget the regular Sunday Property Breakfast every Sunday at 10 a.m. on Facebook. Hello, welcome to the Sunday Property Breakfast podcast special. We have got a real they're all special.
They're all special.
But this is a particularly special one because it's something that's very, very close to our hearts and actually very, very close to your heart. And I should explain. We have got some news today on something that you may have seen us sort of putting a few little messages out there. But we have got this amazing platform about improving all those things we just talked about. The amount of sales that fall through, how long it takes and how stressful it is. And it is something that pretty much from the day you joined the business, and now of course you are in partnership properly, the day you joined, you pretty much started on this project.
That's
at
right.
the same time. And now, as all these things do with tech and things that are brilliant, it takes a while to come to fruition, and we're now at that point. And that is what we're talking about today. And we have an amazing guest with us as well. But I think at this point, I hand over this podcast to you, Candice.
Wonderful. Thank you. Markus, welcome to our podcast where we will be talking about the one and only Domunus.
Well, Candice and Adrian, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I'm happy to talk about Domunus and what it's going to be doing for real estate.
Exactly. And Markus joins us from New York, so he's 5 hours behind. Thank you very, very much for making the time to speak with us about a very, very important subject, which of course many people understand in the UK can be very stressful, and that is the property transaction process. I mean, Adrian, how many times have we seen clients or heard of people stressed? I mean, what are the stats again? Remind us, what are the stats?
Well, a recent survey, I can't remember off the top of my head who it was over 80% have some significant stress.
Yep.
Stats are one thing. The personal stories you hear from people are more impactful because they tell you to your face, and they tell you that the problem we have in the business is that we can be, and the other agents can be really well prepared.
That's right.
But you're as good and as quick and as stress-free as the lowest common denominator. And unfortunately, we work in an industry that is still a little bit smoke and mirrors.
Yes. Yeah.
And there is a lack of transparency. And this platform, from everything that I've seen that we touch on the meetings I've had with Markus when we first met about 18 months ago, and though you've been pioneering it with Markus and the rest of the team, it has that potential for transparency, and that is critical.
It's very, very important. I mean, Markus, we don't fully understand how the US works, but as you know, in the UK, it's one of the subjects which causes people anxiety when they have gone through a property transaction before and they've understood the delays and the issue and not having the communication. And that essentially leads to people not being able to sleep. And there are some stats that show that a lot of clients go into depression because at the end of the day, your home is your sanctuary. It's your security.
It's your most valuable asset for 99% of people. It's something we talk about all the time, that we deal in a very rare commodity, which is your most expensive asset, and it's your security, your roof over your head. Yep. That's why all of this is so important.
And the thing is, it's all about communication in the end. And when you've got a platform like Domunus, which one can use, which is seamless, it's fantastic, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It's one of the platforms, and I'm not a techie person, but I will tell you this right now. When we went through it the last time, so obviously you've got to go through it a couple of times to make sure all the triggers are working properly. And when it got to the point where all the triggers work properly, and you can see how good it is once everything has been completed right to the end, honestly, I wanted to do backflips. It's fantastic. And this is a game changer. So Markus, thank you so much for coming up with Domunus. Tell us a bit more about Domunus. How does it work?
So as the both of you already mentioned, everyone that went through a real estate transaction once in their lives, it doesn't matter if it's really private, residential, like home sales and purchases, or commercial, there is a lot of inefficiencies because there's a lot of people involved. And when I analyzed it, by working in the real estate area for many years, and also combined it with the needs of these individual parties or players that are involved, different industries, from buyers, sellers, representatives, surveyors, lawyers, solicitors, and so on. They all have different needs. And when you combine all this, you basically come up with three core problems. A, it takes too long and costs too much going through a real estate transaction because there's a lot of miscommunication, non-communication, non-collaboration, missing details, missing documents, wrong amendments, and so on as a first part. The second part would really be because there's so many parties involved, there's a certain disconnect because they have a manual connection, right? You pick up the phone and do this, that, and the other. So this disconnect really is not really fostering any of the business activity around the transaction or for new transactions. And because of all this, you have very limited data around the transaction itself. There's a lot of data around the deal out there, when it's sold, when it's purchased, mortgages on it, etc. But the transaction itself and real-time data is very limited. So what we thought is we have to come up with a solution in order to solve these problems that should be also very simple and user-friendly. And that is when Domunus basically was born. It is now a technology hub that centralizes, synchronizes, and automates or digitizes most of the aspects of a real estate transaction in real time and for all parties that are involved in the specific transaction, as I mentioned before. So we had to basically come up with three different solutions for the three problems: a comprehensive workflow where everyone can collaborate so that they can seamlessly complete the deals, a partner portal so that you can connect the different parties directly with each other, which then leads to more lead generation and opens up more business activity amongst these various industries. And then funnel all this into a database and live data around the real estate transaction, which promotes really more business insights and market intelligence around it so that everyone can make better decisions around the real estate transaction or the other deals that are coming up through the partner portal. So in essence, it benefits really everyone. You reduce the time and cost, according to our calculation and user feedback, by approximately 30%, which is huge. In the US alone, this would amount to approximately $50 billion, right?
Wow.
Then you have the partner portal, which makes business connections easier, more seamless, also more competitive, but it creates more opportunities between these industries, between the various industries. And the third one with the business insights is really now everyone is basically better informed around the transaction or around multiple transactions that you are involved in order to make the best decision at the best time. So in essence, you can almost think of it as a hyper collaboration tool that ensures that everyone stays informed and makes the best decision. And that creates a lot of transparency around the deal, eliminates these blind spots that exist currently because of the digitization, right? And because of that, you also create accountability between the individual parties during the transaction so that everyone knows what to do next and whose turn is it in the next step.
I think
while at the same time reducing time, crucial time and cost, and at the same time have access to more business opportunities.
I think that bit about, again, we sometimes are guilty of making sweeping statements about the industry, but sadly we make them because to a large extent they're true.
Yeah.
And I think there can very easily be, when you've got so many parties involved, is blame culture. When you've got, in a typical chain in this country, you'll probably have on average 3 properties, I would say. We sometimes have the single transaction. Sometimes you get a chain of 5 or 6, which is really painful. But on average, there's going to be 2 or 3 properties. So every person involved is multiplied by the 2 or 3 properties involved. So when you've got multiple surveyors, multiple solicitors, owners, buyers, what have you, agents, it is a recipe for all the things you've talked about, and also blame culture. It's not my fault it hasn't happened. It's they're responsible.
Right.
The beauty of this transparency just says, whose job is it next? Who's next to do something? Why? What is the next thing? Oh, it's to book the surveyor. It's to sort the anti-money laundering documentation, whatever it may be. That's your job. Come on, get that done. And that is, we've just agreed a sale today, and everybody in the chain has said one simple thing. There's no specific date that they're all trying to move to, but we just want to get it done as quickly as possible. I guarantee you, I'll be talking to you in 3 or 4 months' time about the fact that somebody within that slowed it all down and didn't make it happen.
Although
I'd be delighted if I was wrong.
Although we obviously, as we've discussed, we give our clients the option to use Domunus. So it's something which we're very passionate about because it helps make our job so much easier. And when they understand it and when they're happy to use it, including their solicitor, it just makes life so much easier. And you mentioned the terminology blind spot. And I like that because when people don't know what's going to happen next, automatically panic starts to set in, and the what ifs, and you can really self-talk yourself into a hole you can't get out of. Having a timeline is so important because when you've got a timeline to work with, as we very well know and understand, it helps the process. It helps you to be able to plan properly. You can't plan if communication is not 100%. It's really difficult. I mean, how many times have clients in the past had to rebook removal companies?
Yeah, and there will be, we haven't just changed law and changed things that will happen and be a problem. And there will be, on every single Domunus transaction, there will be issues that delay the sale, things that you cannot foresee. Somebody gets a survey done on a house that they think is perfectly okay and find out they've got a roof problem. And it takes 10 days before you can get a roofing specialist out to assess the issue. And then it takes another week to negotiate who pays for what. Those things will still happen, but at least everybody knows why.
That's right.
Everybody knows, there's no, again, smoke and mirrors, and everybody knows why. It doesn't mean that there are no issues, but there are no issues through lack of communication, transparency, documentation, and whatever. Just for clarity, this is an English and Wales legal platform, although created by an amazing American in your team. And maybe in a moment you can say a bit more about you and your team, Markus. But this is not an American platform that we're now trying to adapt. You've been adapting it, and it's now ready to run in the UK.
Right. So it is basically, we first started off here in the United States because I'm based in the US, right? But then we got to know each other and started building it specifically for the UK market. So it is a true UK product. And now we're actually doing it in reverse, adopting what we learned through our process of identifying the best functions and features and adding them back into the US product as well. So that's the interesting part, actually.
You taught him something. Is that right? Yeah.
My goodness.
High five.
Not that you needed any teaching, Markus.
That's brilliant.
No, it is. It's with any tech product. It has to do with adoption. And if the functions and features are not there, it's not going to be adopted. And so in order to do that, basically user testing, you have to first of all, create an actual tech product to begin with. And with that tech product, you can now go out to the individual users, to the individual industries. I talk to insurers, I talk to lawyers, I talk to you guys, etc. And we basically came up with a very solid list of functions that needed to be included into a more advanced product, which is really all about end-to-end transparency, accountability, better access to deals, or you can also say lead generation, and acting as a distribution center for the service providers and vendors, right? Be it insurers, be it lawyers, whatever, because they now have another channel where they can filter in their individual services and products.
And it's the ultimate review system, isn't it? We have review systems here through Google and Trustpilot. And this is the ultimate review system that people who you've worked with within a sale transaction performed, and therefore you'll recommend them again because of that. It's a really good one. Can I ask one question to the two of you? How do you, and I think it's a really good live example of the sale we've agreed today. There will be 3 properties involved. How do you encourage somebody to join it? But can it work if amongst those 3 sales there are, let's just say for sake of argument, 20 parties? Can it still work if 15 are part of it and the other 5 say, no, I'm a dinosaur, I don't want to do it? Can it still work?
Well, I do think it absolutely can work, because it still helps you understand what's going on. The ideal situation would be and this is where my role comes in. So I'm the executive director of business development in the UK. That's my job, to speak to those agents about Domunus and to speak to the solicitors if needs be, to explain this is what we need in order for the transaction to work smoothly and a bit more efficient, if that makes sense. So that's where it comes in. What can happen is if you've got two or 5 parties out of 15, oh gosh, 15 would be too much. But anyway, you can already see the angst coming up with it. Even if you've only got, let's say, 2 people out of 5 using it, the good news is that you know what's going on. Your agent knows what's going on.
And can act accordingly, right?
Which is brilliant.
So the way it is built for the UK is such that you basically need to have some core group that agrees to use it, which is really the agent, the buyers and sellers, and the 2 solicitors, right? And then everyone else. So the platform would work with those 5 people, right? Anyone else that comes in is great. They can use it. They see how efficient it is. They see how transparent it is. They know exactly what to do, when to do it, what to do next. And they can also see in the marketplace the new properties that come up. You just mentioned 3. Maybe there is a surveyor that also wants to participate in the other property, right? He can put their offer in, and you can then immediately select or see a list of different offers by surveyors, and can make the best decision of which one you actually want to use. The one might not be available. That then will actually cause the delays if you don't have the platform, because you don't really know the timing in the first place. Here, the timing. Once you put their offer in and the offer is accepted, you have a certain timeline, and before can obviously be disturbed by certain instances, like roof replacement, whatever, septic systems, public water doesn't work, it's whatever. I mean, there's so many different things. Ownership is kind of a little bit unclear, who actually owns the property, right?
Oh, yes.
Happens a lot in the United States, because it's privatized. Ownership, recording is privatized here. So, but if you have a certain, in a technology sense, a certain card that tells you, okay, these are the next 2 days, that's your time where you can figure it out. Then okay, that's what it is. You open your laptop, you see in your marketplace or in your deals what needs to be done first, what needs to be done second. It's also time coded, basically. And then you can work accordingly, and you can work ahead as well. It's not like, oh, I'm just doing this. You can also work ahead and do other things that need to be done during this deal, and then work on the other deals.
Exactly.
That is one of the most frustrating things. Actually, it's not occurred to me before. Invariably, there will be an issue. Every sale will have an issue. Some of them are really difficult. Some of them are relatively quick to sort out. And what can very often happen is everybody focuses on that one issue.
Right.
And then that issue gets resolved 2 days, 2 weeks, a month later. And all the other things could have been carrying on in the background. And, we've solved the survey and the roof issue. We've got the quote for the repairs. We've agreed that the vendor will pay $5,000 towards the repairs. All the other stuff could have been gone in the background and nothing's happened. And that transparency again is brilliant.
It's brilliant. But the other thing which Markus touched on, which is really important for service providers to understand, and which they'll catch on very quickly once Domunus is being used, more and more and more, is that your success rate of actually winning business is far quicker than it would be just going out and waiting for an agent to come towards you, or hoping that the name on your door is the name that nobody will forget. The thing is, in our country, people have lost a little bit of trust, should I say, in our industry. Let's be frank about it, because of time delays, miscommunication, etc., etc. Domunus gives the service providers the tool to basically, it's your USP. And how many people would rather come to, let's say, Solicitor Jones, when they see the Solicitor Jones gets everything done timely, and oh, wait a minute, he managed to get it done within, let's say, 8 weeks instead of 12 weeks. That's fantastic. As an example.
Yeah, and again, the time isn't always the issue. It's the stress-free way it happened. Again, if you've got a major issue that is a big time delay, can't do anything about that. But if everybody says, wow, he really acted on it and dealt with it, and there were no other delays because of it, and the stress was reduced because we were all informed, then you've overcome that problem completely.
But it's also what we really would love for people to experience more and more of is that selling your home doesn't have to be completely stressful. It can be an experience that you can go, you know what, it was a little bit stressful at times. However, using Domunus and, of course, Anderson Jones.
Of course, that's a given.
It was seamless. It was fantastic. And you have communication on both Domunus and you have communication from us, because we'll never go away. We strongly believe that it is still our duty of care to make sure that we communicate with our clients, whether it's on WhatsApp to keep them posted with viewings going on, and then phoning them about things that they need to talk about or that we need to discuss properly. But the platform allows for people to be able to sit back, whether you're in, let's say, Barbados, and you're busy selling your home, and you can just open up your laptop and go, oh, here we go. Oopsie, it's my turn. I need to approve and sign this document in order for the next trigger to go, to then make sure that from the buyer side, that document can go through to their solicitor. And then again, boom, that trigger happens. I love this tech, and I really, really think that it's a name which will become very, very popular in the UK and the US because it helps people. It's like having, let's think of something, what you can't live without on a daily basis on your phone.
Oh, on my phone.
As an example.
Spotify. We could talk an awful lot about the other elements of it in terms of where it pays for itself, what it costs to join it, how do people join it. I think the important thing from this is to make people go away. All of our podcasts are like this. They're not a to Z solution or an A to Z of it. It's like, I need to know more about why I should be part of this.
Correct.
Because this, yes, we're going to use it ourselves.
Yep.
We are part back in the Keller Williams team, which of course is also a great overlap with yourselves in America, Markus. But we want to take this out. So if there's other agents listening to this, you can have access to this if you talk to us. I think the key thing I'd like to probably get out at the end of this, and call it the elevator pitch or whatever. If I'm sat here as a cynical lawyer, buyer, agent thinking, I don't need another tech, I don't need another thing to tell people what I'm doing because I've already got a manager, I've already got my own CRM system, because all the agents will have their own system of, who's involved in a chain. Why do I need another one? Tell me, Markus, why I need another one.
I don't really see it as another technology. It's, as I said before, it is a collaboration tool that simplifies everything around the transaction and basically benefits everyone in the transaction, including the one that is cynical about it, by giving them the tools that they need in order to be successful, be it through connecting with the people to seamlessly complete the transaction without any hesitation, or finding new business ideas, new business opportunities through the leads that can be accessed through the partner portal. And that is, I think, it pays for itself. At the same time, it's not a technology in a sense that where everyone thinks, oh, now I have a new technology and I have to learn it or whatever. We try to be as user-friendly as possible. And that's also one of the distinction to other software programs where you basically have to go through a learning curve and could do seminars or whatnot in order to really understand what it's actually doing. I see this basically every day. People are using Excel all day long, but most people that are not Excel wizards don't really know how to use it, right? This is different because it is user-facing and not tech-facing. And that's, I think, one of the other big issues or advantages in our case, using this platform, besides, saving time and cost and finding new business opportunities along the way.
And I think you'd agree with that because I'm of an age where I'm not instinctively digital stroke tech, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. You're not the most tech savvy. You're not you're not ignorant of it, but you're not saying, oh, give me more things to complicate my workload. So if you're a passionate fanatic of this, you see how it has to start with tech, Markus, obviously.
Right.
I describe it as I genuinely really don't know how a car works, much to my father and my brother's disappointment. Do I know how to drive a car? Yeah, I do. People will give a view on how good I am, but I know how to drive a car. I haven't got a clue how the Zoom and laptop work, which we're using for this. Can I use it? Yeah, because we've connected. And I see this in exactly the same way. Yeah. There is incredible tech behind it, but I haven't got a clue what it's about.
That's an excellent example, actually. I should add this to the deck. But at the same time, right now it's for free, basically. Nobody pays anything at this point, to drive more adoption. But even if it costs at one point something, the savings and the new opportunities, that you get out of it basically pays for itself manifold.
Yeah.
That's how we see it from the company perspective.
Well, the good thing for Adrian and myself, who do with the work we do, it gives us more time that we can use to go and sit with clients, to get more business in, be a bit more creative, right. Because this side of the business alone can take up 2 hours a day. It really, really can, because it's the admin side of things where you are responsible for making sure that you speak to Solicitor A in order to inform your client that this is what's going on because Solicitor A has spoken with Solicitor B, because at the moment you can't directly speak, can we, to
It's
the other
It's
parties?
the inefficiency of that
That's
2 hours.
it, which is really annoying. It's really, really annoying.
Whether you spend half an hour a day, 2 hours a day, whether you have
it's not
somebody
acceptable.
within the team who is dedicated to that role, which
Yep.
a number of companies will have. It's not about how long you spend, it's about the efficiency of that. And there are days when you've spent 2 or 3 hours on sales progression, as we call it, and you think, how far did I get? Not very.
The thing is, what really upsets me, and I'm quite passionate about this side too, is when I can see that our client is feeling frustrated because they're not hearing back from the other side of the deal, so to speak. It saddens me because as Adrian has said before, it's their biggest asset they'll probably have. It's their home, it's their security. There's an emotional attachment to the whole thing, regardless of the situation. So that has to be corrected. And the only way for it to be corrected as much as possible is with using Domunus.
You mentioned about the fact that our industry has a lack of, good trust and faith in it.
Yes, yeah.
The other thing, we're not going to change that overnight. This system, this program platform will help that, or it'll certainly help those who use it. One thing with the way things are currently sold is that buyers and sellers who at the beginning of the process have belief and faith in each other because the owner has just met somebody, or they probably didn't meet them, but they've done this viewing, they've agreed to pay them for the house that they love. So they're day one, they love their buyer. That trust and good feeling can fall apart when it's got nothing to do with the individuals. It's to do with all the people involved in it who have let somebody down, lack of transparency, lack of communication, and suddenly a buyer and a seller who we know would quite happily go for dinner together and really get on because they're probably similar. We often see buyers who are the owners 10 years previously when they bought it. You can see that the age of the children, the jobs they do are similar, and you think you guys would get on really well if you met. And suddenly you can find these people falling apart in a transaction and falling out of of like with, not in love, but falling out of like with each other for no reason other than all these other people messing it.
But that also, in a sense, makes you see clients where they kind of fall out of love with the property that they're about to purchase, because all of a sudden everything just feels a bit bitter. So, I mean, there's two songs we can think of. There's Bittersweet. What was it again?
Well, Bittersweet is a song by Everything But the Girl that I love, but there's Bittersweet Symphony.
That's it, thank you. And then, of course, there's Losing My Religion by R.E.M. because you used the word faith. So
it's George Michael Faith. We could go on. Having mentioned Spotify, we can go on to my favourite subject, by the way, Marcus. Unless there's something we've missed, to me, as involved in this, but as an outsider, because we got very involved early on when Candice came back and says, I've met with Marcus through a previous contact of mine, got this amazing product. We then talked about it a bit. The last year probably has been, I think we've had the odd call together, but it's mainly been the two of you and the rest of the team. I know what it's about, but I'm now, I've made some notes here of things that we need now to go and do to get people to start using this.
Isn't he good?
Because this has reignited what I felt 18 months, 2 years ago when I thought, this is just, and nothing, I can tell you, Marcus, nothing has changed in this marketplace to not, for people not to want this solution.
And well, I do think the other important thing to mention again, which I think I've mentioned to you before, Marcus, is that in the UK, they are very pro mental health and well-being. And when you look at what's been happening in the property transaction process, as we've said before, people's mental health suffers massively. There's other complications that can happen too. And that's something which we are very passionate about seeing change. And I think the more support Domunus can get, the better. But for me, using Domunus is an absolute no-brainer. It's like having a smartphone for what I need. Why would I want to use a very old-fashioned phone where you just have to repeatedly punch in the key 3 times to get to the letter C, for example?
You're so young.
So
because
it's
I'm
what really, I mean, what you can really see is, related to what you just mentioned, is constructive problem solving. Right. So if someone is involved in a concern like the home purchase or sale, then and they don't know really exactly what to do and how to do it and whatnot, then they can really not solve it in their heads because they
Correct.
don't have the tools and information in order to solve it and eliminate or diminish at least those concerns,
Exactly.
right? So in a sense, our platform with the comprehensive workflow and the real-time data, you almost create the constructive problem-solving solution for them because they exactly see what's gonna happen. So they don't have to be concerned for around their purchase or sale of the home because they know exactly what's going on.
Exactly. And you've had your personal experience before when you were purchasing your own home. So you
Oh,
understand look, exactly. There we go. It's stressful. It's stressful.
it is. It took 6 months.
What? 6 months?
It took 6 months because there was also a few different things that needed to happen, and construction teams needed to come in and stuff like that. But
Gosh.
at one point, even the lender didn't think that this project or sale is even going through, and they already archived everything. So
Gosh.
till I understood what actually happened, they had it already in the totally different drawers. I had to call
No.
them
Crazy.
and say, guys, what's going on? And so, oh, are you back? What's happening with this sale? And then I told them, well, this is what's happening. So, oh, we didn't know anything about this. So there was also miscommunication or non-communication, right? In this case, between my lawyer or solicitor in your case, the other lawyer, the title insurance, which is the the private sort of record keeper in the United States, and the lender.
Yeah.
So it was non-communication that almost killed the entire deal. I mean, I had another lender in the back pocket because he really wanted to be in there
Very
because
good.
I know how it works in real estate because I'm working in real estate for a while. So I always try to have a back pocket solution. But most people would not have that.
Without that
Wouldn't
pain, you would not have created Dominus.
It's a
I don't,
pain. It's a
and I
pain.
don't want
It
to,
was
I don't want to say no pain, no gain, because that's terrible. But Markus, before we let you get on with your day, could you just tell us in a snapshot your background?
all right. So I've been educated in Germany, Spain, and the United States in basically two categories, in building engineering and planning, as well as real estate finance and investment, and have since then worked basically in various countries on the development side, asset management, investment banking. Did then some consulting after that, and then started the company. So my mainly what I was involved in was larger projects on the commercial side. But what I understood was that transactions are always extremely difficult to do. And then I always thought, why is it so difficult? It doesn't have to be. Then realizing that real estate in general is always lagging behind all other industries, right? So what happens in name a product doesn't really matter, is always more advanced when it comes to technology than real estate, and especially the transactional aspect, because it has so many different parties involved. That's the core problem in order to come up really with a solution that works for everyone. And that's how my background basically with my work in the different countries around the different projects evolved into building really this platform, and probably my side job as an adjunct professor at New York University, where I teach maximizing real estate values and probably also coming up with business plans, probably also helped fostering my own business, basically creating my own business.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you for coming up with Dominus, and I'm sure a lot of people in the UK and in the US will thank you in due course, because it's a fantastic platform to use. It is really, really good. I mean, imagine just being able to sit there, open up your laptop, have a look to see exactly what's going on, because you want to be up to date. Your client's going, it's not a problem, Adrian and Candice. We know, we can see. It's fantastic. Thank you very, very much. That's what you want to see. And I come back
to the fact that every agent can do that now in a linear way of what their responsibilities are. But their responsibilities are to call that person, email that person, meet that person.
Right.
Gosh.
Not this circular one. Markus, thank you for a reconnection of it and an absolute reigniting what I knew was an amazing idea, because you lived and breathed this and talk about it all the time. And anybody watching this, listening to this, if you want to know more about Domunus, contact us, particularly Candice at andersonjones.co.uk. We can start to talk to you about how you, as an agent, a surveyor, a solicitor, or anybody involved, removal companies will be involved in this right at the end for all the reasons we've explained. Just get in touch with us. We can tell you how to get involved in Domunus, because this will be, for the rest of this year and then ongoing, this will be a major part of our business. Markus, thank you and the team for creating it. Thank you for joining us today on the Sunday Property Breakfast.
Well, thank you for having me, Candice and Adrian. It was a pleasure reconnecting as well, Adrian, and seeing you again, Candice. And we'll just work on and make the product more and more advanced as we go.
We're looking forward to it, and it's a game changer. So thank you very, very much, Markus, and have a really good day ahead, and we will definitely be speaking soon again.
And we'll see you on a Sunday Property Breakfast very soon. Thanks very much. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sunday Property Breakfast podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Please feel free to share it with anyone you know who you think might enjoy listening in. And if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer directly, then just email hello@andersonjones.co.uk. See you next week.